Hi there, it's Paul. This is Science That Sticks. Welcome one and all once again. Today I'm going to go through a few top tips for anybody that's going to be doing a paper 2 chemistry next week. That's the week beginning the 17th of May. Now, if you are doing a paper next week, your teachers might be looking at this and going, oh no, he's going to give us the answers. That's no good. We've got to do something else. No. I'm not giving you answers. I'm just going to give you some clues as to what you should be revising. Although your teachers and your school should be following the government guidelines in that they are telling you what is going to be in the test so that you can revise. Now that means that you can only be assessed on the stuff that they have taught you, and they should have spent the last month teaching you and making sure that the course was complete. Now that being the case, there's a couple of things that are always going to show up in paper 2. The first of which is hydrocarbons. Well, hydrocarbons, it's just massive. What particularly almost always comes up? Fractional distillation. How do they get crude oil into different hydrocarbons? That's going to be in there for sure. What else? Something to do with analytical chemistry. Are they going to talk about mass spectrometry? No, they're not, because it's small and obscure. They're going to be asking for some bigger questions, 5-mark, 6-mark questions. So in analytical chemistry, they're going to be asking about gases. So the test for carbon dioxide, the test for oxygen, the test for hydrogen, the test for bleach, or rather not bleach, but the test for chlorine gas, which bleaches litmus paper. So those things kind of show up. Testing for anions. So what happens if you've got a carbonate, a halide? What do you test for? How do you test for it? We'll go into those in a moment. Then of course you've got sustainable development. Now sustainable development is really tough because you can't really sit down and learn stuff because it's not factual. You are making comments on information that you have been given. In 2018, students were asked to make a comment, compare and contrast. I think it was a hydrogen fuel cell car versus an electric battery car, and give good things and bad things about it. And you had a table of results. Now we'll talk about evaluating in just a moment, but let's go back to hydrocarbons. Well, hydrocarbons, almost always you're going to be looking at something like a fractionating column or fractional distillation. Fractional distillation is really, really easy. You've got a tube, you've got heat at the very bottom, crude oil goes in. Now, as the crude oil gets heated, the mixture of hydrocarbons begins to separate because the smaller, lighter hydrocarbons have a smaller boiling point and evaporate first. So these rise up the fractionating column. As they rise up the fractionating column, they get cooler because they're further away from the heat. As they get cooler, further away from the heat, they start to condense. So you end up with low boiling point hydrocarbons here. The bigger, longer hydrocarbons take a little bit more energy, and therefore they evaporate a little bit further up the chain, a little bit further up the pipe, and of course they condense a lot cooler, so you end up with larger boiling point hydrocarbons. You've got to state that it is hot at the bottom and it is cold or cooler at the top. So you've got to identify that there is a temperature gradient and all of those things that I've said. So that's pretty interesting. So that's fractional distillation out the window. That's good. What else did I say? Sustainable development. Evaluating. Well, if you're evaluating something, then you have to make a very good case for one thing to another, and you've got to be able to say what's good about it and what's bad about it. If you're given a table of data and you've got to then compare that data, then you absolutely should. But you should also quote that data and then offset it against one another. So if something produces so much carbon dioxide but another one doesn't for doing the same process, then you state that, but you quote it. So not only do you quote it, but you state what's good about this, what's bad about this. You do that with 2 or 3 of them. Now normally they're about 4, they're out of 4 to 6 marks. So you state this a few times, and then Then, once you've done that, here's the crux of the matter. You then have to write a simple conclusion. Which one would you have? Which one is the best? Which one produces the least amount of carbon dioxide or pollution or whatever? That's one of the things you've got to talk about. So we've looked at sustainable development. We've looked at hydrocarbons, anions. Anions are very easy. If you want to find out if something's got a sulfate molecule in it, or SO4, then you add barium chloride. Turns white. If you want to test for a gas like carbon dioxide, you bubble it through lime water, goes cloudy. If you want to test for one of the halides, chloride, iodide, bromide, you add silver nitrate and you get a precipitate that is a colour of either white, yellow or cream. Easily enough done, right in the books. What else? Sustainable development. The Earth's early atmosphere. Now, the Earth's early atmosphere, that's stuff that you do have to just simply learn. And I recommend that you have a look on freesciencelessons.co.uk. I'll put a link in below so that you can go straight to it. You might find him very boring, because a lot of my students do, and they're like, oh, I like him, sir. I'm like, well, actually, Sean's very, very good. He's very clear. He's very concise. And it's only going to take up another few minutes of your time. So I'm going to leave it at that. It's Friday night. I want a cup of tea. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, stay cool. Bye-bye.